Was anybody else raised in the type of toxic family environment where the family image was more important than the mental and emotional health of the people in the family? Or the type of family where only certain family members were allowed to make mistakes without being judged or criticized or crucified for their mistakes, and then others weren't? Or maybe the type of family where, because you were a child, you weren't allowed to speak up about certain things that the adults did and said to you without being called disrespectful, disobedient, or out of control. Or my favorite one, where a parent is allowed to treat a child any type of way and you're supposed to just forgive them because that's your mother or that's your father. You ever notice how our parents and grandparents made a lot of errors in raising us and did a lot of damage to us emotionally and mentally as children that we then had to get older and process and deal with and heal from on our own? And when you go to talk to them about those things as an adult, they tell you, well, you're grown now, or you're an adult now. You need to just let that go. Why are you speaking about it now? You didn't say anything as a child. And then once you address those things as an adult, they finally do make changes for the younger people in the family. They start to do better by them, but they never went back and corrected or apologized or fixed what they broke in their older or adult children. And why is it such a normal thing for your family to sit back and watch you struggle or go through things as a family member, but they will willingly go out into the world and do anything for anybody else, just not you? And I think it really just all goes back to maintaining that perfect family image. Um, I don't know why it's such a normal thing for people in your family to watch you struggle and watch you deal with so much on your own and offer no help, no assistance, no guidance at all. But then they'll go out and parent someone else's child, or be there for someone else's child, or be a sister to someone else's, family member. Why is that such a normal thing? And even if it's not someone from the outside, why in toxic households do we see so much of a parent being there completely and wholeheartedly for one child and then looking at the next child as if they're supposed to just figure it out on their own? I think that's why we see a lot of adults that are like me, that are hyper independent and isolated, because you had to deal with so much and process so much on your own as a child that you're just used to it. You're used to being alone. You're used to figuring things out on your own. You're used to not getting any help. And if you do get help, there's an agenda behind it. Or, they're looking for something out of them helping you. Another thing that I see a lot in toxic family dynamics is favoritism and playing one child against another, or playing, adults against each other. Just that toxic favoritism that keeps people at odds and keeps the secret animosity going. And then you always have that one person in the family that decides to speak out against those things and point out the toxic patterns and things like that. And you always see that person is isolated. The family treats them different because they taint the perfect family image. They make you look bad. And most narcissistic and toxic family dynamics, they don't want to look bad. They want to appear perfect to the world. That's one thing I really love about my generation is we are really trying to heal. We are really trying to correct some of these things and make changes because we don't want to raise children that are, dealing with some of the emotional stresses and mental issues that we had to deal with. I really, really appreciate that about my generation. We are trying to break these generational curses, and we're hated for it. We are letting the younger generation, the generation after us, our children, we're letting them express themselves. I don't have children, but my nieces and nephews. We're letting them express themselves. We're letting them say what they feel, and it doesn't have to be taken as disrespect. If a child is mad, they're mad. If they're upset, and that's okay. And there's ways to talk them through that without telling them, that they're being disrespectful or that they're not allowed to have feelings. But those are just some things that I've noticed. I plan on talking about that more um, after I sit with a couple things, because I don't want to speak from a place of hurt, and I don't want to speak from a place of resentment. So I will get back to this topic.